Isabella Marced's rendition of Dina in The Last of Us Season 2 has turned a lot of heads. Her performance was raved about in the previews, then episode 1 hit and the general public concurred. The people have hearts in their eyes, they've never loved a young lady more. Her first scene with Joel was endearing, her funny silent planning session with Ellie was cute and funny, her babying and taking care of Ellie is tender and sweet. And she's just so damn smiley and pretty. The road to successfully charming the audience was paved with these bricks. This success has led, however, to some comparative disparaging of Shannon Woodward's Dina from The Last of Us Part 2 that I humbly will not abide. Show Dina is better than game Dina, I've heard on the wind. It makes me grit my teeth. It makes me a little angry. You need different tools for different jobs, idiots. Show Dina is getting a lot of love in comparison to game Dina, primarily, I think, because she stands out more than game Dina. She's bombastic, she's lively, she's wild. Her charm is screamed rather than whispered. This change in personality was necessary because of the rendition of Ellie Show Dina stands across from. Bella Ramsey's rendition of Ellie is very different to Ashley Johnson's Ellie. This has become even more pronounced as we've gotten further into the Season 2/Part 2 material. Show Ellie is overly loud and bombastic. She yells and screams and is joking all the time. She's very blunt, she's more overt. She's generally sillier more consistently. She more so embodies the wilder moments of younger Ellie from the first game, turned up to 11, all the time, even after the time skip. This means the portrayal of Show Dina had to rise in bombast to match energy with Show Ellie, which has led to a lot of these probably necessary personality and demeanor changes. She's gotta be a little extra, and this has resulted in a character and in a performance that more jumps out of the screen than game Dina. Game Ellie is a very closed-off, solemn, somber person. Very shy and awkward and locked inside herself outwardly. There always seems like there's more going on than we and the people around her realize. There's insecurity there. She appears to always be hiding something. She's not overt, and her silliness is often a deflection. She is still playful and quick and fierce like she was in her happier moments in the first game, when she's allowed. But there's a sadness, a weight, and a simmering anger and regret to her, mixed with a dose of self-hatred. This is all emphasized when what happens, and the floodgates open and she spirals into an erratic, vengeful lust. All these compounding emotions imploding. Her performance reflects all of this. In her delivery, in her body language, it's nuanced and very grounded. Game Dina stands across from this very different Ellie and is therefore subdued to this quainter tone, and her more pensive Ellie. She's equally nuanced and grounded. She knows what she wants and she goes after it, but in a way that she knows Ellie will respond to. She's thoughtful. She's also bubbly and cute and funny in quieter ways than her show counterpart. She's sweet and tender in more passive ways. Her strengths are not really in practicality like with Show Dina, but more in being emotionally supportive and therefore endearing to the audience. But not in quite as dramatic a fashion or as immediately as Show Dina. The relationship between game Dina and Ellie is also a more mature one, compared to the goofier show pairing. I think this is most on display in thinking of a hypothetical world where the combinations are cross-paired. Game Dina and Show Ellie would not go together. The maturity gap is almost so profound it might be problematic. Show Ellie and Dina feel like and give off the vibes of a fun teenage pairing off on an adventure, whereas Game Dina and Ellie feel like 20-somethings together on a deadly mission, even if everyone mentioned here is supposed to be 19. This is born out of the differences in their characterizations. Even though a lot of the language I'm using is quite loaded positive for the game portrayal and negative for the show portrayal here, that's not really my point. I'm just saying the Dinas are characterized and performed and written very different to match their opposite numbers, and they both fit in their roles. Different tools for different jobs. And I think the type of portrayal Show Dina is a magnet for attention and getting noticed and therefore praised over her more subtle, more grounded, and more nuanced doppelganger. Either that or it's recency bias or something. But to compare them seriously to me is like comparing apples to oranges. It fails to understand the different roles each was designed to flourish in. They're not better than each other, they're just different. Apples and oranges. The general misunderstanding of this and want to praise Show Dina and put down Game Dina has annoyed me a little, but good. Now we're on the same page. It won't happen again. This could and probably should be where the video ends. But truthfully, if I look deep inside myself, that conclusion is a lie. My anger isn't born out of a misunderstanding of roles in two different narratives. My anger is born out of being absolutely flabbergasted that anyone could prefer apples to oranges. We all agree that Game Dina is way better, right? We aren't falling for the flashiness and the bombast, are we? Because that would be really, really stupid. In essence, some would say, less is more. I think to me, the difference in quality between the two Dinas is representative of the difference in quality between the two versions of this story they come from. It is becoming increasingly evident to me that the show is falling short of the game in many regards, and its lesser quality to me has infected show Dina and made her inferior to me than game Dina. Everything that was left unsaid and implied in both Last of Us games has been mind-numbingly screamed in the show. Every subtle performance detail is now overwrought and overstated in the show, every plot detail is more driven home and reiterated upon, and everything needs to be fleshed out in the show. And it takes away from the very small, tightly focused story from the game that doesn't fill in every little detail. It's almost a testament to how far video game storytelling has come in a mainstream way, that the unsubtle, dumbed down, less focused story is the HBO television adaptation rather than the original video game, especially considering the standing in pop culture of the two mediums historically. All my issues sort of coalesce into the lesser adaptation of the Take On Me scene from Seattle Day One that I think is less impactful in all regards in the show. A lot of my complaints about the show, and in turn about this scene, are born out of two key changes: removing additional contextual layers from the characters in the scenes to streamline and dumb down the story, and a lack of subtlety and ambiguity leading to overstated emotionality. In the game, when Ellie finds the guitar in the music store, her glee in finding it is more understated. Then she sits down and she plays the first few notes and sings the first line of Future Days. The song Jel sings to her at the very beginning of the game. If I ever were to lose you meant something then and it means something different now, and you sit with that. Before Dina interrupts, asking,
"What was that?"
Ellie doesn't explain the song or its meaning or its importance to Dina, and is very much hiding things from her, especially about Joel. She then transitions into reminiscing about an old memory with Dina around a bonfire, before she plays Take On Me, seemingly calling back to that memory, wooing Dina in the process. This extra detail at the beginning adds a secretive, almost sinister tinge to this scene, and Ellie and Dina's doomed relationship in the game. This layer is completely removed in the show, where Dina just starts playing Take On Me as soon as she finds the guitar, where it's not calling back an old memory. It's a bit of emotional blackmail here from Ellie, kinda like what Joel did in the scene earlier in the game, singing Future Days for her. There is a truly emotional, genuine moment of care and affection following both moments, but there's some layering there that adds to the nuance in the conflict and the love of both relationships in both scenes. The show version of both scenes, in fact, simplify both scenes into purely being sweet moments between the duos, and it takes away from the grayness of both relationships and the characters involved. In the game, the emotionality of the scene is all in Dina watching Ellie sing. Ellie is hiding behind her guitar, slightly embarrassed as she sings, looking around and away from Dina. Dina at first sits down, smirking self-awarely to herself at the corniness of the situation before she falls into the emotion of the moment. Her eyes linger on Ellie, on her face, following her hands on the strings, looking softly off to the side, all in quiet contemplation about why she's halfway across the country, with this girl on an unenviable revenge mission into the unknown, with her eventually coming to the conclusion that she loves this girl. The softness that is shared in this moment from Ellie, the talent and the expression it takes, juxtaposed with the general shyness and fierceness and ruthlessness that Dina knows Ellie is capable of, amalgamate into this interesting, nuanced, contradictory girl that she can't take her eyes off of, that she can't not stand beside. There's a realization that she wants to be here with Ellie in this moment, a sureness, a love, and it's transmitted by facial expression and body language in these thoughtful, reflective looks. It's all unsaid, but it's written all over her face. The emotionality is behind the eyes. There's subtlety, there's ambiguity. You have to read into the situation. The show tries to replicate the emotionality of the game by again focusing the scene on watching Dina watch Ellie, but it doesn't commit to it quite as hard, and it seems more obsessed with the shots looking real nice, rather than the complex emotional resonance of the moment for Dina, and the subtle way of portraying it. The emotionality of this scene is also dumbed down and screened. Instead of the thoughtful, contemplative looks, Dina slowly walks over to Ellie looking on in pure adulation. Rather than a lot of the emotionality coming from behind the eyes in the game scene, Dina sits down directly across from Ellie, staring at her, and she slowly builds tears in her eyes until she cries. What the fuck is with crying in this goddamn show? I hate it! Dina has to wipe the tears away in her closing compliments to Ellie's performance. It's overwrought, it's overbearing, it's one note, and I don't like it. It's also more plain and obvious, and get ready for this one, Mr. Gems, straightforwardly generic. It's all screamed at you. Dina loves Ellie, guys, when there's so much more than that in the game. To make things worse, rather than them both getting up and moving on like in the game, the scene is capped off in the show by needless Joel glazing. For the shittier Joel, mind you. Because show Dina apparently loved Joel too. So we have to shoehorn Joel into this scene, reminding us that we've collectivized and simplified both girls' motivations into one, rather than having them be complex and dynamic characters in their own rights, who want different things, like in the game. Joel haunts The Last of Us Part 2, but he isn't mentioned very often. His absence is more felt than it is said, especially in the Seattle section. We don't have to be reminded of him verbally constantly, encroaching him in scenes that are supposed to be about Ellie and Dina. It's so fucking soy and grating. Do you guys miss Joel? I'm really missing Joel right now, guys. The impact and the emotionality and the depth of the show scene falls completely at the feet of the nuance and the groundedness and the understated profundity of the game scene. It's emblematic of why the show is lesser than the game, why show Ellie is lesser than game Ellie, and why show Dina is lesser than game Dina. The orange is way better than the apple, guys. Let's not kid ourselves here, or it'll make me a little angry. We've got to thank our members and patrons here today, because I kind of forgot to last time. That'd be Jarky Bacon, Cruel Beauty, Mr. Gems, and Shitty Elite RE.